Currently, I have a 2016 BMW 550i. It has the N63TU motor. It's a V8 twin turbo. I went ahead and replaced the two hoses that were leaking, which was the coolant feed line to the turbo, and then another hose which was the one on the engine block. I went ahead and when I did the bleeding on the car, it looks like I didn't do it properly. I filled up the car with coolant, but it looks like on the ISTA from the BMW, it recommends that when you fill back up the coolant on the car, you should go ahead and do it vacuum style. I didn't do that. Basically, to cut it short, the auxiliary water pump on the car went shot. So I went ahead and bought one. Now, this time, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna redo the whole process of filling up the coolant. So I got a air compression tank, and I got a Amazon kit, which I'm gonna leave a description below, like a link to it, so you guys know what like stuff I'm using. I'm gonna go ahead, bleed it one more time, and then from there on, after obviously doing the flush before doing the bleeding and the refilling of the coolant and replacing the auxiliary water pump, the car should be fine. You start off by flushing the coolant. You want to remove the cap reservoirs on both back and front expansion coolant tanks, that one and that one, and access the radiator right underneath it. A point of reference is looking for this kind of like beige color thing, and you'll have the radiator hose right in, like on top of it. I don't know if that kind of like, just follow this bops and it's right there. Now it has a clamp, a metal clamp. Let me see if I can zoom on it. Right now it's taken out because I finished like doing the flushing, but it's right there, this little thing right there. So I got the flashlight just real quick before I go ahead and put it in. This is how it looks like. I don't know if that's a better visual of earlier. I think so. The flathead right here, literally just like, you can't see it properly, but just like, that's it. Like, that's all it takes. Like, just a little push and it went in. Like, I promise you, like the most gentle push, and it went in. Just trying to show you how it looks like from the bottom side view, right? So these two hoses that I'm pointing at, like touching with my fingers, this one and then this one, are the hoses that are connected to the auxiliary water pump. I changed both clamps on them. I'll show you a video why I changed them, but yeah, now a better visual, like location. So this is the side of the motor, and then this is the side of the fan, and that right there is the coolant expansion tank, like the reservoir that's located in the front part of the car. Okay, look, this is how one of the clamps used to look like. You need like a special type of pliers that would hold on this side and on this side. One of the other hoses had one of this like crimp, like pinch clamps that you pinch on the top. Now whenever you remove these, I think it's better if you have an extra pair, because what I did is that since I've been working on the car already for replacing the hoses, I bought this kit on Amazon, which bring like a bunch of different sized clamps that are with the tool that's right here, so you can like pinch it from the top here, so you can like close the clamp. Now it's easier to remove on one of these ends, not from the top but from the side. If you like pry it out with a flathead, you'll be able to remove it way easier, but you would not be able to use it again if you do it that way. So I recommend a buy kit. If you want, I can just attach a link to this kit that brings the tool, and then you can replace that clamp. And then I had to replace this clamp too, because the hose, when you have the clamp on and I'm trying to put the new water pump, because this is the old water pump, it's just too difficult having the hose there and then trying to force in the hose as it's being kind of like pinched with the clamp. Like, I tried squeezing it as hard as I could and forcing the hose in so then you can release it and then it will like clamp down, but bro, I just couldn't. So I had to replace the clamp with one of these and then put a new one, the one that replaced this one too. Okay, so how ideally you wouldn't want to work it out is by loosening up the two holding bolts here and that one right there, so you can make the reservoir loose, so then right underneath it you'll access the water pump bolts, and like you can kind of maneuver a bit more things around, right? You go ahead, I connected the air compression tank. Depends per kit. Just try to make sure it's not by oil pressure, because some of they come like that. Here's the little lever that, you know, turns on the whole like kit, and then here's the vacuum kit that I got on Amazon. So you go ahead, you put it into the reservoir expansion coolant tank and make sure that it's stiff enough. You can change heads, like you can get this one. There's different sizes, like there's like from like the thinnest to like thicker sides, right? And once you put it in, you have this little red thing which you'll like twist to the right, and it's gonna push it down and make the rubber kind of expand a little, so then it's pressured so there's no leak on the system. Now guys, you want to be very mindful when it comes to the gauge on the kit. You want to look at the unit version that you have. So for example, here I was noticing that mine came in centimeters mercury instead of inches mercury, which I saw online. And if it's inches mercury, you will normally be good at 25 max. I would say maybe 30 pushing it. Inches mercury to have the vacuum system under pressure of the system of the coolant, but mine would have been in this case around 50 to 60, even sometimes 70 centimeters mercury to have the system vacuumed enough to have pressure and have everything sucked with that hose that I'm showing right now. Now here I was just trying to go over and show you how the air compression tank work. You had the red lever which you would pull on it, turn on the kit, then you would start hearing the pressure building up through the black hose, which then you will hear a whistling sound on the blue T, which that would mean that the air is coming out through there, building up pressure through the coolant system, because it's vacuuming the air inside of the coolant system, building up that pressure. As you have the red key open, here I'm showing the gauge, which it showed that it stopped at 15 centimeters mercury, meaning that since it stopped there, it cannot build up more pressure than that. So at that point you can go ahead, you see the red key, close it, and you can go ahead and turn off the air compression tank, and you already have the amount of pressure that you need to go ahead and fill up the system with coolant. So here I'm just showing you how you will go about on using the vacuum pressure in the coolant system to refill the coolant into the car. You go ahead and replace the T-junction with the blue end and the black hose that was connected to the air compression tank. You go ahead and put the hose under the coolant that you have separated in a jug. Now, I do want to recommend that you want to have all the coolant under one jug. That was one mistake that I did, that I had all the coolants in separate jugs, and I had to open and close the key every time I wanted to move the hose from one jug to the other, and that can potentially create an air pocket into the hose, which then it will ultimately go to your coolant system, and you're doing this whole process to prevent that. So go ahead and try to put all your coolant under one big jug. You can use it like a bucket, which you can put all your coolant there. So here's the ISTA. This is like the manual of the service department and how they should proceed on doing any service work on the car. So what I told you guys earlier, in centimeter mercury or in bar, you should hear the manual says wait until it gets us to the 0.7 to negative 0.95. But just so you can have a reference, if yours stops a little bit before that and it just doesn't suck more vacuum onto the system, it really doesn't matter. So like, don't stress on it too much. Now if you go a little bit more down on it, it'll also tell you that you want to hold it for 30 seconds. So I waited a little bit more, like 2 to 5 minutes, just to make sure there's no leaks on the coolant system. Once you finish doing the vacuum on the car, you want to adjust the coolant level to maximum if you saw that it's a bit over the flow that the car normally takes, right? And you want to check also for coolant leaks, and make sure to close the cooler expansion tank, like put the cap on. The plan is now to move on to the next reservoir, the one in the front, which is the one that we were working with earlier to remove the auxiliary water pump. And we're gonna repeat the same process basically, but just for this head, I'm gonna change it for a new head. Like, I'm gonna attach a new setting on it to make sure there's no leak, okay? And then here, what I'm showing is how it would look like when you have the air compression tank vacuuming the coolant system. As the meter is going up in the gauge, you see that as soon as it reaches 51, 52 centimeters mercury, it stops there. That's how you know that you should stop it there and you have enough buildup pressure. Here, I'm gonna give you the steps on how to do the bleeding correctly. So you gotta have the car set into certain preconditions. So for example, you must have done the refilling of the coolant on the car with vacuum pressure, which I showed you how to do that properly. You have to have the low beam headlights mode on, because what will happen is that the ignition terminal 15 will go ahead and switch off automatically after a certain period of time and interrupt the bleeding procedure. So make sure you do that correctly. You want to have the car in ignition while you have your car hooked up to a battery charger, so it doesn't drain your battery or potentially damage it. Once you do that, remove the coolant expansion tank's caps off and have your HVAC system, which is your AC system, to the maximum temperature, and have the manual mode on, not in auto, and your blower in the lowest setting. Once you do that, you can just press the accelerator for 15 seconds and then the bleeding will start. So to start off, I already put the battery charger into the positive and negative terminal of the car, and I opened the reservoir caps on both expansion tanks. Then you follow by putting the car in ignition, putting the low beam headlights mode on like that. Put your HVAC system on the hottest setting on both sides. It's on manual mode already, and then on the lowest blower setting. From that point, you can go ahead and press the accelerator for 15 seconds. So once you've done that, you're gonna start hearing like some liquid running through. You see the water's kind of like flickering a bit. That's because the electric pump for the reservoir in the front and on the back too, it's just not showing. I can't show it because it's very deep, but it's actually running the coolant, like it's bleeding the system. So with that done for 12 minutes, it'll stop by itself. You'll see that once you go back into the car and you look at the HVAC system, it's going to be all turned off. That means that the bleeding procedure was done already, like it finished, and you're done.